It's a big old cross-country Class A. Looky here. All right. Got your typical RV roof. This one has a coating on. You can see it right here. If you've got one of these plumbing caps like this, water will get up in here and in there. And there's a screw here, there's a screw here, and there's one there. And water get down in there. People don't usually caulk all that. I don't put anything in it. And then it still leaks. But these are your typical dyed core. I'm guessing it's dyed core, but you can see how kind of dry that is. Even though I'm pushing it apart, it still should be more pliable than that. But that's all they want you to do. Put more on, more on. Pretty soon you got like 5 inches of dyed core up there. So you can probably make a little moat around there. All around everything. That's just crazy. But if you see all this on your roof, all this little squiggling, cracking, like right here, I call it eggshelling, but basically, and I think some of the RV places, they call it spider webbing. But regardless of whatever you want to call it, it's called failure. That is failed. It is done. Cooked. Get a new roof on it. Oh, look at there. I didn't even, all I did was touch down on that. That's how easy this stuff can rip up. So, that's how easy this stuff rips. You're not tearing this like this on all roofs. You cannot rip it like this. So, we'll see if we can salvage that shoulders. Don't usually have a lot of luck on that. By the time you try to take all the screws out, there's no screws there. Who am I kidding? By the time you try to take all the staples out of there, you end up really with all these little burrs, and it looks terrible under the roof. It really does. So we'll end up making a curve for this antenna, and then I don't know what's going on with this thing. That looks like a relic. It really does. I don't know what year this coach is. It's a nice coach on the inside, but I don't know. Like you said, I don't know how old that thing is. I don't even know if it still works. We'll find out. So possible we may be changing some lights. Look at all that. There's probably water getting in there. You can see right there. So a lot of times water will get right down in here where this lens sits, and then it'll get in there, then it starts weeping down, and you get all these little, what we call chronic leaks. Chronic. So what's good about having one of these scaffold systems, you walk all the way around. Look at there. Gee whiz. That's a big old blob of cow pie right there. Look at there. I don't know why that's all done like that. I wonder if there's another hole under there and they just slobbered it all up. That wouldn't surprise me. It looks like somebody had dug a hole here. I don't know what that is. This is just a rip or something. That's kind of weird. This will come up easy peasy. Easy peasy. We'll rip her up. Get some curves built and get her done. So, like I said, a lot of times these aren't sealed. See? Right in there. Not sealed. And that's what happens. Right in there. I did clear away some of the dirt, but so water will get up inside there. It'll get up inside there, and then it'll leak down inside there. That's what I was trying to tell you. And then sometimes these will fail, and you'll get, you'd have to get a lot of high water, blowing water to get up inside there. But when we do them, I have a boot, and the boots are sealed. It can't leak that way. So, all right, that is our big. What is this thing again? I gotta get some ginkgo biloba. Cross country. That's what it is. Double C. The old double C. Then we're gonna check the ladder. Look at there. I don't know if I drove there. Man, you better be a skinny feller to be climbing up and down this thing. So we'll fix all that. I don't want somebody climbing up here busting their tail on this thing. And then down there, I don't know, maybe I'll figure something else out. A lot of times when you put the pressure on here, there's just a bolt that goes through here, but it'll really wear on these, and then it'll start cracking and breaking. So I'm gonna see what I can do. Maybe I can make an extension. And then on here, no gutters. No gutters, so all that water is just running down across there. It'll run to the top of the windows, which aren't sealed, and then it'll leak. So we don't want that. Look there. That's that great coating. That's what you pay somebody. We don't do coatings because they don't work. And yeah, I'm showing you right here. See, it doesn't work. No work. And then it just fails. When it does, you may have a leak coming from up there and showing up down here because it travels up underneath it. So actually, we'll have, it's probably already posted now by the time you're watching this one, but if you haven't seen it, we did a coach that has had a spray application on it. So, well, let us get to work, and we'll be back. Things I didn't show you over here on our double C cross country. So you can see some of the awning right here. See the threading? It's kind of loosening up. So, and it feels real dry. Feels real dry. So I wanted to show that. And you can see all this stuff not adhering. I already showed you all that, but I wanted to let you know about the awning. Alright, onward and upward. Right. So one of the other things I don't like about these coatings, they hide a lot of stuff. We already started tearing this roof off, and I was going to show it there anyways. But anyhow, that piece goes there, that piece goes here. See this here, when we started taking this off, you know how it runs over here, you can see all that. Alright, look at there. What are you doing over there? Screws. So, I don't know why someone put screws in here. That's crazy. But you never know what you get. So if you're out looking for a coach, you need to get up on the roof. Definitely get on the roof and see what's going on. And if the ladder is that bad that you can't get on the roof, then you already got another problem. So, we probably will be changing these lights out because there is condensation in there and moisture and stuff. So more than likely we're going to. Unless the customer is like, oh, heck no, but they're not that expensive. So I think we ought to do them. And they'll also be LED. These are not LED. So you won't have to get up here and change the bulbs. And even if you tried to change the bulb, that's so rusty, you're going to break your head off of that more than likely. So, all right. Well, we got our cross-country redecked. Get it all trimmed in. So we got to get the shoulders on. Some of these shoulders aren't looking too cool. This is really, really thin. Let's see all this here. We try to remount all that. We can't get that all straight. It's so thin, like even when you push it, it wants to come right back. We'd have to put a gazillion staples in it to try to get it to stay down. So we may end up making new shoulders for this. The material we use anyways, it's going to be a lot thicker than this. I don't know what gauge this is. It's pretty light. You may have to mic that. But it is pretty light. And the stuff that we use is 032. It's pretty heavy. So it makes a big difference. And also the way it's going to sit on the roof. This would be a stronger shoulder. So we've got all that. And then typically we go around and we'll mark where we get wires and stuff. So when we put the screws back in, we don't want to put them right here or here. You know, you want to make sure they stay clear. These are just measurements for where the satellite was and everything. We moved that wire around and brought it over there. He's going to have another one put on there. We are going to change those lights. We're going to do all that. So we're ready to pretty much get a roof on here. So that's a plus. And then, but we got to get the shoulders done first. And that's about it. So all the wires that are coming up through, see, they got the plastic pieces. And that's what we look for. We just want to make sure they're not dragging. This one obviously has a loom on it. But we want to make sure they're not going to get compromised. That's the main goal of why we open a lot of them up. This one being applied foam, it had to come up anyways because it was leaking and it needed to be redecked. So, alright, well, let us get to work and see what we can come up with on the new shoulders. Well, we've got new shoulders. We get them all pinned in. And then there's a buffer strip for the back of this fascia, and there's one up there in the front for that fascia. So we just have the roof laid out. We got to glue it. So it's about ready to go, but we put new shoulders on both sides, and we're about ready to glue her down, get her stuckified. I think that's an official word, stuckified. I think it said it on the jug. To stuckify the roofing, you have to put an application of glue on. Okay, we got the driver's side. It's already glued. This section that you're looking at, that's the passenger side. So we don't need to have, we got a buffer strip here. We don't need them all the way down there because those sheets are so tight, there's not an issue with them. I do that generally on the plywood ones, like the 1/2 inch or like a 5th wheel or something like that. That's not ply foam. This is a ply foam roof.
But you can see we got the new shoulders on this side as well. So as soon as this is flashed off, then we're just going to roll it. This is the ladder. And I like to check all these, so we're replacing these screws in here. Okay, so we're replacing, we got a new one in there. Some of them that like these, we're going to replace these. So the way these go, and again, it's not necessarily a DIY channel, but on here, all right, see this is one right here. And this is a foot that goes on, like right here. It's on another piece. Look how rusty that is. You try to get up on that ladder, and also it's not really in there far enough. That's really a small screw. You really want it back just a little bit. Gives it a little bit more strength. So we're going to replace that. But that's this particular little piece. You can look them up, but they're called star nuts, is what they are. So what you do is when you get that freed out, or if it's so bad it won't get freed out, you can drive it back. You can drive it back, and then you can put a new one in. And then they do make a tool that you can use it. I usually just put it on a socket, or I'll take this whole tubular piece, and I have a big arbor press, and I just press the new one in there. So, and then obviously you put a new screw on, you know. So, but like I said, that's what they're called, is star nuts. So they're really not that hard. So once you unscrew it, like I said, you'll see that you got a new one. Yeah, there it is. Dropped it on the floor. So here's the new one. So what's going to happen is it's going to get pressed in right here. We'll push it down inside there, and then what it does is these barbs grab onto the inside there, and that's what holds it. And then you can screw this plate back on once we get all that freed up. All right, got the roof all rolled out. Now we got it rolled out. Now we roll it out. Just hit it with that big roller. Get her to pack on down there. Get her stuckified. Then we put all our holes in here for the vents and the skylight and all that jazzy stuff. Well, we get her back together. Well, we are done. We are done. So we put our brand on there. That just tells everybody, you know, when we got the roof completed, right? February of 22. And we do that so if the customer goes to sell the coach, then at least we don't have to worry about someone trying to talk them down. Say, oh, I know these RV roofs, they all leak. You go, no, this thing we just put on. But obviously anybody who gets up here would know this is a superior roof anyways, but nonetheless, that's why we put it on. And also so we can monitor it, you know, if anything goes whatever prematurely, then at least we know we can get back with the manufacturer. I've never ever had to do that, but it's just a good idea. So also I want to thank the customer for bringing this coach in. We appreciate the work, and I mean, the coach looks great. I wish it was a little bit cleaner, but we already finished it, and there's so much dust in this shop. We've already washed this thing twice, and I've been meaning to get up here and do a video, but I still got a little bit of dust on here. I mean, granted, it's going to get dirty, but still, I like it nice and clean. Got 2 strikes of caulking going all the way down. Everything has 2 strikes all the way down, and this is a special insert trim. I'll go over that in a minute. But we got the stands in the back, and what that does is just give some balance to the air conditioner, and then this piece up in the front, that's a piece of counterflash. So what that does is that any water that comes down the rain, it's going to go down. There's another piece of counterflash on our curbs, but up underneath here is a foam gasket, and I didn't want any blowing rain when it comes down like this to get on top of the counterflash of the curb and underneath the base of the air conditioner there. I didn't want any water kind of penetrating that or just impeding on it. And it's elevated up enough to keep all the dirt and dust and everything off. I know we showed that earlier, how some of the dirt and dust and everything just collects up in there, and it dries out those gaskets. So those gaskets really should be replaced every couple of years, so they say. But anyhow, that's the purpose of this. So we've got them on both of them. You can see that big curb we've got right there. The what all this is a lot of times we find the condensation sits on the top part. And you know, especially when it's a cooler morning, and then the sun comes up and it warms it, so it condenses it, and then obviously that gets evaporated off. But up on the inside of that lens, it won't be able to get evaporated. So what it does is it kind of condensates and trickles down, and it will start to wick up into the roof deck, and it'll also go down into the ceiling panel. So the only fix I could figure out, that's a solar fan right there, and that's an intake. So what happens is that when the sun does come up, that'll kick on, and then it'll constantly keep pulling air and keep a good flow of air going through there, so you don't have that issue. That's what that's all about. There's a plumbing right here.
And you can see how we got our plumbing boots. If this cap comes off, oh, keeping that in mind, that cap right there, if by any chance that cap pops off and it's raining out, that water will go inside that cavity, inside the actual skylight opening. So if that does happen, then you come up here, grab this one, put it over there, because these will go right down into the holding tank. So that's no big deal. These ones here, the way we designed them, they'll just go right down. They're all sealed, so there's no way any water can get in there. So like I said on that though, that's just an air intake, and what we did is put a foam baffle inside there, and that's to prevent any wasps or anything from getting up inside there. So that's that curve there. But this is our counter flash that we incorporate in there, which is what that goes over on the air conditioning curb. So we've got everything together. We replaced the awning right here. We got that. And again, you got a couple of stands in the back. And then you want to replace this dome up here, the satellite with a dome. So now, if anything ever happens to this, all he has to do is just undo those bolts, pull it off, and then, you know, get a new one or have it serviced or whatever. And then he can just bolt it back on. He doesn't have to dig out any caulking. He doesn't have to do any of that. So those are 3/8 bolts, and there's steel plating up underneath there to hold it all together. So everything's all glued and laminated back together. And then that's just the TV antenna that we put back. And we also put on some new LED lights up in the front here. So those there, the ones that were on there, those teardrops, they always get corroded, and they were all dry rotted anyways. They were cracking. So I want to make sure it stays watertight. Obviously we sealed all around the lights, we seal around the radio antenna here, and then obviously around the air horns and so forth. And again, you can see we got 2 strikes going down here and all around. So you get some nice spouts right here to kick the water off. And we also went around the tops of the windows. So we want to make sure that, you know, if anything, I would hate for a customer to call me up, and I've had this happen where they call up and they'll say, hey, I got a leak. And we go, nah, it's not from us. It's you didn't seal your coach. It's coming from the window, you know, or it's coming from maybe some of these. Sometimes you'll have a patio light that'll leak. So those are prone to leaking too. So the roof material, this is a 60 mil commercial grade TPO. That's what it is, a thermoplastic. And it all heat welds together. All of that is all heat welded. It's basically, we have a tool that puts out, the air is like 1200 degrees, and it fuses it all together, much like you would do with welding metal. Except for metal, you have a medium, which is a wire or a rod or something to fill it. This here, once you heat it up, it literally just fuses right together. So there's no leaking there. It's done. So the way we check all those, and we like to see these come back 30 days. Ideally 30 days, because they're new and they're racking, flexing, twisting. We show customers how to do an inspection, and we want to make sure that, you know, if there is something, we want to correct it before it becomes a problem. But I would hate for a customer to come back and I've had them that come back 2 or 3 years, and you know, it's something simple, and you're like, well, why didn't we see it? You know, that's crazy. But the way we check all these, this is called a checker tool. We leave one of these in a care package, and you just take it and you kind of put a little bit of pressure on there. And then in that care package, if this were to slip in, if it was just a little bit, that's okay. But if it did slip in and you thought it needed some attention, we leave them with some product, a primer, and we also leave them with some caulking. And you can just seal that up and it'll be fine until we get to it. And then you can bring it in. But like I said, I like to see them 30 days, 60 days. Okay, give people some time to make some arrangements. And then it's once a year. So that's typically how we do it. Just come in once a year. They're too expensive to do twice. Sometimes I'll admit it's probably inconvenient to do that, but at the same point, you know, we just put a lot of money into these roof systems, and I would hate to see something so simple that we could get squared away, turn into something that was unnecessary, right? Let's see, what else do I need to go over? Here's the roofing material itself. I need to go over that too, and I don't know if you can see it. Probably here's a better one right here. You can see the little squares in there. That's a reinforced membrane, and what that does is help resist against hail and also tree branches and things like that. If this did get a hole in it, you don't have to tear the whole roof up. We can do a hot patch right over it and get that done. In the care package, we do leave a little hot patch in there, and we also leave some roof tape to be able to do it. And we go over all that too. It'll be probably after this clip here. But that's the material. It's 60 mil. That's the thickness. That means how thick it is. This is a 60 mil. On the regular roofs that come on here, they're probably about a 25, 28. They're really thin. In fact, they're about as thin as the base. This is the base, and the white is obviously the top. But the roofing that comes from the manufacturers is only as thick as that base. It's super thin. probably about as thick as an inner tube of your bicycle tire. So, but that's how they rate them, is in what they call mils. And you can get them thicker, you can get them thinner, but 60 seems to work real good. If you get them thicker, they're hard to manipulate and get to work for you. And the 45 mil is at 15 year. This is a 20-year material warranty. So what that means is that the company says the material itself will not fail for 20 years prematurely. And you know, it's going to age obviously over time, but as it degrades, it'll degrade evenly, if you will. So it's not like it would fail in 5 years and the whole thing. That's basically how the warranties work on all roofing, even Dicor. All of them do that. And then what they'll do is they'll say, well, if it did fail, they'll just give you the roofing. That's all they're going to do. They're not going to give you anything back for labor. They're not going to do that. They're going to say, here's a roll of roofing, here, have at it. Sorry about that. And that's kind of crummy, because now you still have to pay to have it done. That's why we tell folks, come back and see us. We'll take care of it. We'll take care of it, because the manufacturer does not know who is installing those roofs, so they can't possibly warranty this whole system that we put on, because they don't know us. If they knew the type of work we did, of course, they don't want to put themselves out there on that limb, right? So that's why we tell folks, come on back and we will inspect the whole. It's all free. It's free. So, you know, take advantage of it for sure. All right, so what we got here, this is an insert trim, and the way this goes in, I'll show you on here. It's got a groove on it, and this is what I like about it. And I special order all this stuff. So we don't sell anything, by the way, and just keep in mind, these are not DIY videos. We try to put this information out for the customer to see all the work that we've done. But see that little groove in there? It fits into the track in this, and it goes under that little track in there. It goes under and over, so it seals everything out. Maybe I'll see a little better this way, but it kind of goes in and over, so that locks everything out. I like this a lot. There's a couple of them on Amazon. I know AP Products makes one or something, but it's not quite what I use, but it may get you by. But like I said, we don't sell anything. Even the black that we have, that's all special order. I had to buy like 2 miles of that before I could get it. Got our boots all filled in. Those are all heat welded too, so now when you climb up the ladder, you know, they tend to wiggle and wobble a lot, and that's where they're prone to leak. And a lot of campers, they always have an issue right around here. So with those boots there and they're all loaded, there's no way those are going to leak. We also rebuilt the ladder. We took it all apart and made sure all the screws, and there's little tiny nuts that are inside those tubes. We got that all squared away and got that all nice and tight. So now it's I feel comfortable with everything else. We run on the back lights and everything. So everything should be, at least from basically what we try to do is from the platform here up to the roof here. So this way we don't have anybody calling us up saying, hey, we got a leak. You know, I do the best I can on it. But I do encourage everybody to go around and double check all the caulking, all around your windows, all around your latches, all around your lights. Anything where water's going to hit, if it's screwed on there, even like little screws like this, we sealed all those. But you may want to go down and you know, check all the rest of them down there. We didn't go around the whole coach. We only did what we breached. And but you still may want to go around the rest of everything else here. Take those screws out if you have to, and you put a little caulking right in that hole, and then put the screw back in. It leaves a little grommet around there. That's how we did all of these. All these that are in here that hold this turn bar, there's a little swirl of caulking around every single screw through there. That's the way we do it, to make sure they're sealed. So all right, well, we appreciate it. And then if you need any information from us, you can contact us at rvroofinstall.com, and that card should show up at the end of the video to show all our information on there. But other than that, again, I want to thank the customer for bringing this in. We really appreciate the work, and we don't want them to be a stranger. Come on back for your inspections, and we'll see you on the next one. Let's see, we got all the coaches that come out with a care package. This is our care package right here. See if I can zoom this in. We got a license plate right here if he wants to put that on. We've got, this is a piece of patch. It's an emergency patch in case he got a tree branch to come down and if he had to patch it. Now this is a hot patch. This is the one that we would use much like this one around here. It's just the same material, but so that would have to be welded in. However, in an emergency, if you had a hole, and we'll say whatever right here, if you saw it in there, you take this and shove it in that hole, and you go squirt, 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 squirt all around in a circle like that, and load it. Then you squeeze it, it'll bubble up. That's done. This is a moisture cured product. That's what we use. We use all Chemlink products. This is Durlink. That's what we use. So that'll seal it. But then we also left a couple of patches. So the way you want to do your patching, there's an roll away. The way you want to do your patching, and we left a couple in here, is you would center it over your hole. Once you get it centered, take a pen and outline this. You want to outline it with a pen. Now you got that, just set that aside. And we left, there's a little bit of primer right here. You're going to need that primer. And I might as well empty everything out of this thing. Here's a brush. So now you want to go beyond the ink line. You want to go beyond that, maybe 3/8 of an inch or so. So you're going to be doing this on your ink line. Then you want to do the whole thing here. So you got all the inside the ink line, and then about 3/8 over the ink line. You're going to take your patch. You're going to peel the back. This film will peel right off, and you line it up. And I usually reach up underneath, and then I take my other hand and I kind of pull it this way. It keeps it nice and smooth. Now you've got your ink line there. You got your primer out here. You take your brush again and go over this, just like that. Okay, go over here, because it won't bond to this. That's the purpose of the primer. Nothing's going to bond to the TPO unless it's primed. So once you get that, then you come back with your product, and you can put some caulking around there, and that's going to be a pretty darn good band-aid. Now if the customer really feels he needs to have a hot patch put on it, that's why we left this. We don't want someone to just go to if he can't come back here, we do them for free. If he can't make it here and he's somewhere else, he's like, yeah, that really needs to be put on there, you cannot interchange these materials. So some people think you can take this is a Carlisle membrane right here. Now Carlisle does make a couple other products, but it has to be the same Carlisle product. But you couldn't take, for instance, GAF and put it on there. You couldn't take Genflex and put it on there. You can't do that. They're two totally different companies, and they're two totally different products. I mean, they're still TPO, but it's kind of like Ford and Chevy. Yeah, they're both a car, they're both a truck, but they're not compatible. You're not swapping parts on them. So it may seem like it'll weld on there, and I've had people at supply houses tell me, oh yeah, we don't have any of that, but you can use this. You can't. There's enough chemical imbalance in each product where they're not compatible. So that's why we put that in there, just in case. So you got the primer, you got that, you got the brush, you got some caulking, and then the caulking. We like to see these come back in 30 days. Okay, 30 to 60 days for an initial inspection. After that, it's annual. Now, if the customer says, well, I want to inspect it myself, we want them to go along, put a little friction on here to get it warmed up, and then this is going to stay tight anyways. But in the event he found something, hey, it looks a little loose or whatever, you can put a little bit more primer on there, and you can use that to just give it a little love, especially around the corners. You can go around the corners and everything like that if you had to. So that's why we put all that in there. Let's see, we got a magnet for maybe on your hood of your stove. Got a couple of pens here. Got a fancy dancy key tag with a beverage opener. We can't say beer, it's a beverage. So this is a checker tool. So this is used to check the joint, the welds. You go along like this, and if it pops in there and you find a little hole, we'll say there was a tiny bit, if you did, that's what you check for. And these things are gonna move a little bit. So if you did, then again, you can take the primer, take a little brush, put it all in there, take the caulking, and you're done. Okay, that'll hold it so we can get a look at it and make sure everything's all set. But like I said, that's what we like to see. It come back in about 30 days. I like to see them, but 60, all right. But I still want them inspected because I don't want to have a little tiny problem turn into a big problem and then an upset customer. So we got all of that there, and let's see what else we got here. Here is a sample of our product. This is a 60 mil commercial grade. And if you look real hard enough, you can probably see the little, see if I get the angle of this light in here from the shot. You can see these little squares. There's a mesh built into this, which gives it its strength. So that's where it'll resist hail damage, it'll resist tree branches. So it's really hard to poke through this. It truly is. You'd have to have something really hard and sharp to really get it. But if you had a big enough tree branch, that could possibly happen. So we get all that. And then like I said, got another key tag and everything in here. So that's the gist of it. So all the customers, they get these here, and we got an emblem on the back. There's one of our emblems here that we put on the back, and that's about it. So we leave all this with the customer. So Mr. and Mrs. Customer, you know, at least they have all this stuff handy in case of an emergency. So we want to make sure everything stays tight and everything, you got all the products you need, so on. So obviously if you have any issues, there's our telephone number, 423-475-7663. Keeping all this in mind, these are not intended for DIY. I just simply don't have the time to answer all these DIY questions. And the other thing is, I don't know what you're dealing with. I don't know what you have. I don't know what products are on there. And I have guys ask me all the time, what can I use for this? What can I use for that? And I don't want to steer anybody in the wrong direction and find out, okay, well, you got silicone on your windows. What can I use to do my windows? Well, you're going to have to dig all that out. You have to dig it all out. Nothing sticks to silicone. Silicone doesn't stick to silicone. So you really got to clean all that out. And if you don't know if you have silicone, and some people don't know the difference, they can't just go up there and feel it and go, yeah, that's silicone, or it's just a urethane, or it's a terpolymer. I mean, there's a bunch of different products out in the market now. But the biggest one is being the silicone. And some products kind of simulate in a touch. So you may think it's silicone, but all that has to be, like I said, it has to be removed. But again, that's why I try not to get into advising, and I just don't want anybody to be upset. But honestly, I really don't have the time at the risk of sounding like a jerk. I'm not trying to be. I'm trying to do a good job, but you can imagine how many emails and, you know, we get from, you know, with questions, and also questions on our channel. Keeping this in mind as well, we don't quote on social media. If you want a quote on yours, you'd have to give us a call. Again, 423-475-7663. You can do that, and then you can send us an email even if you wanted to at contactus@rvroofinstall.com. So that's about it. Everything's done. I think the customer just showed up, so we're going to get him coupled up here, and he may want to take a glance at the roof, and otherwise we're good to go. So we appreciate y'all watching. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. What that does, from what I understand from the algorithms, what it does is if somebody's looking for information on RV roofs, then, you know, this video or other videos will pop up. That's what I'm guessing. So if you want to subscribe, well, we put these up pretty often. You can go through a lot of the other videos we have. Some, I'm trying to think of some really good ones that we did that were just a hot mess. There's a Georgetown we did, I think a couple years ago. That Georgetown, we did the whole ceiling, took the whole ceiling and roof out and rebuilt that whole entire thing. There's a Montana that's up there. There's a earlier from years ago, maybe 5 years ago, there is a Siesta, and you can, that was roof we did, and the guy who did that roof put two roofs on, put the first one on, messed it up, put the second one on, messed it up, and you'll see that hot mess they did. They did not know what they're doing. So keep that in mind. There's a lot of guys out here on YouTube that'll say, hey, yeah, you can do this, you can do that. There's a couple of so-called experts that are out there, and I watched one of their videos, or a few of them, and I just shake my head because I know things are going to leak, and I know some of the stuff they've done, they have to have leaked, because there's just no way things go together like that. So if they're not, I don't think they mention that, but on their video, I haven't seen mention, hey, yeah, we had a leak, we had to fix it. But you know, if we have any issues, obviously we want the customer to come back immediately, and let's stifle any leaks at all. But you know, that's like almost unheard of. And I'll be honest with you, some of the biggest problems we've had are with these skylights, with them fracturing, and that's why we do them differently. Some of these ones, like I said, they're manufacturer's defects on a lot of them. But that being said, especially if you had a cambered roof, if you had a roof that had just a little bit of a camber, that wants to lay down flat, like just a flat piece of glass. And if you just make this end tighter and that a little tighter, now it's got that little stress going on it, and it only needs a little bit of stress to crack it. So that's one reason why we don't put any screws in anymore. So, and if they come back for inspection, we take all the screws out, and then what we'll do is just load them, because the product that we use underneath there, it's not coming up. It won't come up. If you have to replace that, you're going to have to rip up that whole entire lens, and you're going to have to. It's not coming up. So, well, anyhow, like I said, I appreciate y'all watching, and we'll see you on the next one.